What are you watching?
What are you watching? Elodie, le film!
I settled into my room at the Nipa Resort, Patong Beach, expecting a tranquil getaway. But little did I know, my dream vacation would soon turn into a never-ending nightmare. As I entered my room, I was immediately hit with a musty smell that lingered in the air. It was as if the room had been locked up for years, and the air inside was stale and stagnant. I felt like I was breathing in the remnants of past regrets and broken dreams. The smell was so overpowering that it made my stomach churn, and I couldn't help but wonder how anyone could tolerate such a pungent aroma. But the smell was just the beginning. The bathroom was a disaster, with spider webs clinging to the ceiling and a layer of grime covering every surface. It was as if the cleaning staff had given up on trying to maintain even a semblance of cleanliness. I felt like I was bathing in a petri dish, surrounded by the remnants of past guests' bacteria and germs. And then, there was the issue of the mosquitoes. They were everywhere, buzzing around my head like a swarm of angry bees. I tried to swat them away, but they just kept coming back, relentless in their pursuit of my blood. It was as if they had been trained to torment guests, adding to the overall sense of discomfort and unease. But what really took the cake was the front desk staff. They were like robots, devoid of any human emotion or empathy. When I tried to address my concerns with them, they just shrugged and told me that it was my problem. I felt like I was speaking to a brick wall, and it was clear that they didn't care about my well-being or satisfaction. As I wandered around the resort, I noticed that the pool was closed, blocked by 3 plastic chairs that seemed to scream "keep out." It was as if the management was trying to discourage guests from using the facilities, or maybe they just didn't want to bother with the upkeep. The whole area felt abandoned, like a ghost town where the only inhabitants were the echoes of past disappointments. And then, there was the minibar. Oh, the minibar. It was like a trap, waiting to pounce on unsuspecting guests and drain their wallets. They accused me of taking a bottle of beer that I had never even seen, and the front office executive threatened to call the police if I didn't pay up. I felt like I was in some kind of bizarre, twisted game, where the rules were made up on the spot and the only goal was to exploit and deceive. As I tried to make sense of it all, I realized that the problem wasn't just the resort itself, but the entire philosophy behind it. It was as if the management had decided that guests were nothing more than cash cows, to be milked and exploited at every turn. They didn't care about our experiences, our feelings, or our well-being. All they cared about was the bottom line, and how much they could squeeze out of us. I felt like I was trapped in some kind of never-ending horror movie, where the monsters were the hotel staff and management, and the guests were the helpless victims. It was a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from, a never-ending cycle of disappointment and despair. So, dear traveler, let this be a warning to you. Stay far, far away from the Nipa Resort, Patong Beach. It's a place where dreams go to die, and nightmares are born. Trust me, you don't want to end up like me, stuck in a never-ending cycle of disappointment and despair. What do you think, dear friends? Have you ever had a similar experience at a hotel or resort? Share your stories and let's commiserate together. Based on my analysis of businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach, here's the comprehensive overview. Analysis of businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach. Common patterns and issues. 1. Poor customer service. Many reviewers complained about unfriendly, unhelpful, and even rude staff members. This suggests a lack of training or a poor attitude towards customer service among some businesses in the area. 2. Overpricing. Several reviewers felt that the prices of goods and services were too high compared to the quality received. This may indicate that some businesses are taking advantage of tourists without providing adequate value. 3. Lack of transparency. Some reviewers reported being misled or deceived about prices, services, or products. This lack of transparency can lead to mistrust and negative experiences among customers. 4. Inconsistent quality. Many reviewers reported inconsistent quality in food, services, or products. This inconsistency can be attributed to poor quality control or a lack of attention to detail. 5. Disregard for customer feedback. In some cases, reviewers reported that their feedback or complaints were ignored or dismissed by staff members or management. This disregard for customer feedback can lead to ongoing problems and negative reviews. Specific examples from the reviews: Jungceylon Plus reviewer Raj Kumar reported being deceived by a shop owner who claimed to have connections with the King of Thailand. Plus reviewer Tom Lu felt that the prices were inflated compared to similar products available in America. Oasis Spa, Turquoise Cove Spa, Kamala. Plus reviewer Eleni Chrysostomu reported a terrible massage experience with a therapist who seemed uninterested and unfriendly. Plus reviewer Yani Tan reported a scheduling error that was not communicated to them, leading to a delayed and eventually cancelled appointment. Kaab Gluay, Plus reviewer Jaying reported being made to feel unwelcome and uncomfortable due to poor seating arrangements and a hot atmosphere. Plus reviewer Paul reported finding a piece of steel wool in their crab curry, which was met with a dismissive response from the manager. Implications for businesses in the area: to improve the overall customer experience, businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach should focus on 1. Improving customer service, provide training to staff members on providing excellent customer service, including active listening, empathy, and problem solving. 2. Transparency and honesty, ensure that prices, services, and products are clearly communicated to customers, and that any issues or problems are addressed promptly and fairly. 3. Quality control, implement quality control measures to ensure consistency in goods and services, and address any inconsistencies promptly. 4. Valuing customer feedback, take customer feedback seriously, respond promptly to complaints and concerns, and make necessary changes to improve the customer experience. By addressing these common patterns and issues, businesses in the area can improve their reputation, attract more customers, and increase customer loyalty. Analysis of negative reviews. Businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach, the Coffee Club, Beach Point Phuket. This analysis focuses on the consistently negative feedback received by the Coffee Club, Beach Point Phuket, based on the provided 10 reviews. The reviews paint a picture of a location severely underperforming compared to expectations for a generally well-regarded international chain, and potentially damaging the Coffee Club brand reputation in this area. What the Coffee Club is like based on reviews. Based on these reviews, the Coffee Club at this location presents as a highly problematic establishment. While some reviewers note the potential for good food and drink quality, this is overwhelmingly overshadowed by severe shortcomings in service, management, and even basic operational standards. It is characterized by rude and unprofessional staff. This is the most frequently cited issue. Multiple reviews. Onfam, Olgalanskaya, Alzamo, explicitly describe staff as unfriendly, disrespectful, dismissive, and even aggressive. The accusations leveled against a staff member in review number 1, stopping a car and accusing customers of not paying, are particularly serious and indicate a concerning lack of conflict resolution skills. Slow and inattentive service, a persistent theme across many reviews. Mia J. L. Jones, Matteo Tomasetti, Pavel Zes. Customers report long wait times for ordering, receiving food and drinks, and even getting basic requests like cutlery fulfilled. Staff are often described as ignoring requests entirely. Management ineffectiveness. When issues are brought to management's attention, Mia J. L. Jones, the response is frequently described as argumentative and unhelpful. Promises to rectify problems, such as removing the service charge, are reportedly not honored. This suggests a lack of empowerment for staff to resolve issues and a management style focused on defending policy rather than customer satisfaction. Quality control issues. While not the dominant complaint, several reviews point to inconsistent product quality. This includes watery poached eggs, Mia J., poorly presented and potentially poorly prepared coffee, Dr. V., and stale food, M. Khalifa. Menu discrepancies and deceptive pricing are also noted, Benjamin Ross. Basic amenity deficiencies. The lack of access to a toilet, Pavel's S., is a surprisingly significant issue for a cafe, especially one targeting tourists. Common patterns and issues. Several patterns emerge from the negative reviews. Service is the critical failure point. Almost every complaint ultimately circles back to the poor quality of service. This isn't simply about speed, it's about the attitude, responsiveness, and competence of the staff. Discrepancy with brand standards. Reviewers repeatedly reference the expectation of a certain standard associated with the Coffee Club brand, M. Khalifa. The stark contrast between that expectation and the reality of their experience is a significant source of disappointment. Lack of accountability. The reviews suggest a lack of accountability within the establishment. Staff are unresponsive, management doesn't follow through on promises, and there's no apparent attempt to address issues proactively. Inconsistency. While all reviews are negative, the specific failings vary. This suggests systemic issues affecting all aspects of the operation rather than isolated incidents. Specific examples from the reviews. Aggressive accusation. Review number 1, the most egregious example of poor customer service, a staff member stopping a car and publicly accusing patrons of theft. This indicates a severe breakdown in professionalism and customer relations. Ignoring customer needs. Reviews number 2 and number 3, repeated requests for cutlery being ignored, with customers ultimately forced to help themselves, highlight a fundamental lack of attentiveness. Argumentative management. Review number 2. The manager's refusal to remove a service charge despite acknowledging poor service demonstrates a disregard for customer satisfaction. Overly sweet coffee and high prices. Review number 8. Highlights not only a quality control issue but also a feeling of being overcharged for a substandard product. Complete disregard. Review number 9. The waitress's terrible grimace and walking past a customer seeking a menu exemplifies extreme rudeness, particularly striking given Thailand's reputation for hospitality. Generalized conclusions for businesses in the area. These reviews, specifically focusing on the coffee club, suggest that businesses in this area near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach, may struggle with maintaining consistent service standards. High tourist traffic can lead to understaffing and a strain on employee morale, resulting in inconsistent service quality. Employee training and empowerment. Poor staff attitudes and inability to resolve issues suggest insufficient training in customer service and a lack of authority to make decisions. Quality control under pressure. Busy periods may lead to compromises in food and beverage quality based on the negative reviews of Illusion Phuket. A common theme is the poor service and treatment of customers. The security guards and staff are often described as rude, unfriendly, and unprofessional. Several reviewers mention being made to feel uncomfortable and unwelcome, with some even reporting being scolded or spoken to in a derogatory manner. Another issue is the misleading advertising and operational logistics. Multiple reviewers mentioned that the unlimited drinks package came with numerous restrictions and hidden rules, which were not clearly communicated up front. The VIP section was also criticized for being poorly designed and separated from the main stage, forcing guests to wait in long queues. Long wait times for drinks and poor drink quality were also common complaints. Reviewers mentioned having to wait 30 minutes or more for drinks, and some even reported being served watered-down drinks. The bartenders were often described as arrogant and unhelpful. The VIP experience was also widely criticized, with reviewers feeling that they did not get what they paid for. The VIP area was described as being blocked off from the stage view, and guests were not allowed to stand in certain areas. The staff was also accused of being discriminatory, with some reviewers reporting that they were treated unfairly due to their race or nationality. Overall, the reviews suggest that Illusion Phuket has significant issues with customer service, advertising, and operational logistics. The business appears to prioritize making a profit over providing a good customer experience, which has led to widespread dissatisfaction among patrons. In terms of patterns and issues, some common themes emerge. 1. Poor customer service. The security guards and staff are often described as rude, unfriendly, and unprofessional. 2. Misleading advertising. The unlimited drinks package and VIP experience were often misrepresented, leading to customer disappointment and frustration. 3. Operational issues. Long wait times for drinks, poor drink quality, and poorly designed VIP areas were common complaints. 4. Discrimination. Some reviewers reported being treated unfairly due to their race or nationality. To address these issues, Illusion Phuket should focus on improving customer service, being more transparent in their advertising, and addressing operational issues such as wait times and drink quality. Additionally, the business should take steps to ensure that all customers are treated fairly and with respect, regardless of their race or nationality. Analysis of negative reviews for businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach, Chunk 4/4, The Library Phuket. The Library Phuket, a cocktail bar and club near Nipa Resort, receives consistently negative feedback across multiple years, indicating deep-rooted operational and customer service issues. Here's a breakdown of the key problems. 1. Poor service and staff attitude. A recurring theme is unprofessional, dismissive, and occasionally hostile behavior from staff. Examples include incorrect orders and refusal to acknowledge mistakes, for example, serving a coconut-based drink instead of a Moscow Mule, then insisting it was correct, rudeness and intimidation, for example, threatening to call the police over a drink order misunderstanding, pressuring customers into paying for unrequested items, unwillingness to resolve issues, for example, refusing to refund a 1,000 THB cleaning fee for alleged restroom damage without clear evidence. 2. Discrimination and exclusionary practices. Multiple reviews accuse the venue of homophobia and racial bias in entry policies. Same-sex couples were denied entry while Thai patrons were allowed in shortly after, with reviewers suspecting discrimination. Bouncers gave inconsistent explanations, for example, claiming the venue was full before admitting others. 3. Scams and financial exploitation. Several reviews highlight predatory billing practices, misleading promotions, for example, a buy one, Get one free offer resulting in 4 unwanted drinks and threats of police involvement when customers refuse to pay. Hidden charges, for example, unadvertised premium drink prices, refusal to accept cards without prior warning, forcing cash exchanges at unfair rates, questionable fines, for example, the 1000 THB restroom damage fee with no proof. 4. Decline in atmosphere and quality. Long-term patrons note a drop in standards, excessively loud music disrupting the lounge's intended vibe, weak, overpriced drinks, for example, cocktails filled with ice to mask small portions, poor food availability, for example, limited menu options, incorrect orders. Conclusion: the library Phuket suffers from systemic service failures, ranging from staff incompetence to ethically dubious practices, discrimination, scams. Its inability to address these issues, despite years of complaints, suggests a lack of accountability in management. Visitors seeking a relaxed, fair, or welcoming experience should exercise caution or consider alternatives nearby. Note: this analysis focuses solely on the library Phuket based on the provided reviews. Combined with other chunks, broader area trends will emerge. This analysis covers all the businesses analyzed in the area and provides insights into what travelers can expect when staying near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach. Oh my goodness, I'm like, investigating all these crimes near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach, and I'm so sad. Like, why do people do these things? So, businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach are like, super tricky, They'll rent you a jet ski, and then when you return it, they'll be like, oh, you scratched it. And then they'll try to charge you, like, $2,500 for repairs. Can you believe it? I mean, I think they just use water-based markers to hide the scratches before, and then they're like, oh, look, you did it. I bet the victims are like, no, I didn't do that. But the staff is all, yes, you did. And they'll threaten to call the police or something. Like, how can you do that to someone? It's just so wrong. And then, businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach are like, super sneaky, They'll lure you into these bars with free entry and special shows, but really, it's just a scam. They'll give you these super expensive drinks and then be like, oh, you ordered all these things. And if you try to leave, they'll be like, no, you have to pay. I think the victims are like, but I didn't order that. But the staff is all, yes, you did. And they'll just intimidate you until you pay. Like, how can you do that to someone? It's just so mean. And then, businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach are like, super fake, They'll tell you that some attraction is closed, and then they'll take you to this special tailor or jewelry shop. And then they'll be like, oh, this is a government-approved shop. But really, it's just a scam. They'll sell you these super cheap suits or fake gems, and then you'll be like, wait, this is not what I wanted. But they'll just be like, oh, you should have known better. I think the victims are like, I trusted you. But they just get ripped off. Like, how can you do that to someone? It's just so terrible. Oh my goodness. And then, businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach are like, super greedy, They'll exchange your money, but then they'll give you fake bills or shortchange you. Or they'll be like, oh, the exchange rate is bad today. But really, they're just trying to rip you off. I think the victims are like, wait, I didn't get the right amount. But they'll just be like, oh, that's the exchange rate. Like, how can you do that to someone? It's just so unfair. And then, businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach are like, super mean, They'll rent you a scooter, but then they'll be like, oh, you scratched it. And then they'll keep your passport until you pay the repair fee. I think the victims are like, but I need my passport. But they'll just be like, no, you have to pay first. Like, how can you do that to someone? It's just so cruel. And finally, businesses near Nipa Resort, Patong Beach are like, super sneaky, They'll add extra dishes or drinks to your bill at these restaurants. And then they'll be like, oh, you ordered all these things. And if you try to dispute it, they'll be like, no, you have to pay. I think the victims are like, but I didn't order that. But they'll just be like, yes, you did. And they'll just intimidate you until you pay. Like, how can you do that to someone? It's just so wrong.